it risks writing the terms of its own immunity.
Parang sesyon din naman yan. Dapat mag-attend ng sesyon, dapat mag-attend ng trial. Subalit kung may sakit, may karamdaman, may hindi umabot, may magandang dahilan, pwede dahil court of record ang impeachment court. Parang korte rin yung ordinary na may rolyo. So lahat ng pinag-usapan sa hearing na mismo, pwede mong basahin o panoorin gamit ang records ng Senado. Magkano nagastos ng Senado sa unang linggo ng impeachment trial kasama ang logistics at security? Si Senate President Win Gatchalian po ang dapat na makaalam po nito. Subalit, ang kaya ko lang siguro sagutin na ito, hindi kami nagdagdag ng tao, hindi kami nagdagdag ng security, wala kaming biniling bagong lamesa. Alam ko, galing lamang sa bodega ng Senado yung ginagamit na lamesa ng counsel for both parties. Yung witness box, ginawa yan nung panahon ko pa bilang Senate President, bilang paghahanda nung impeachment dapat nung 2025. Kung meron man, yung aircon nakabukas pa rin sa Senado kahit may impeachment o wala, kahit may sesyon o wala. So walang dagdag sa utilities. Siguro may dagdag man sa utility, sa tubig dahil mas maraming gumagamit ng banyo, pero walang ganong kalaking dagdag sa gastusin ng Senado itong impeachment trial. Mas maraming oras lang na ginugugol ang mga senador sa Senado bilang impeachment court. Dahil ngayon dapat recess po kami. Pero imbis na recess, nandun po kami nagtatrabaho bilang senator judges. Yun lang po siguro ang pagkakaiba. At wala rin pong dagdag sa sweldo namin kahit na may dagdag na trabaho.
Hello, I'm Zina. Nagtatrabaho ako sa isang BPO company. Question lang, Senator. Bilang ordinaryong mamamayan, anong mapapala namin sa impeachment trial?
Pinapatunayan at pinapakita kasi nito na tumatakbo, umuubra yung demokrasya natin sa ating bansa, na sa dulo magbebenepisyo dapat ang bawat Pilipino. Dahil sino ba naman ang gustong manirahan o mabuhay sa isang bansang may diktadurya? Buhay ang demokrasya sa ating bansa at ito ang pinapakita at pinapatunayan natin sa pamamagitan ng prosesong ito. Yun marahil ang pinaka pwedeng maibigay ng prosesong ito sa ating mga kababayan.
Maaapektuhan umano ang kredibilidad ng prosecution panel kung ipepresenta nito si Ramil Madriaga bilang testigo laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte sa impeachment court. Ito ang iginiit ng kampo ni VP Sara kaugnay ng ikalawang perjury complaint na isinampa ng Vice Presidente laban kay Madriaga. Narito ang balitang hatid ni Jason Rubrico.
Inilatag ng kampo ni Vice President Sara Duterte ang mga dahilan kung bakit sila naghain ng pangalawang perjury complaint laban kay Ramil Madriaga. Ayon kay Attorney Salvador Paulo Panelo Jr., legal counsel ni VP Sara sa inihaing reklamo, naniniwala silang nagsisinungaling si Madriaga sa kanyang mga sinumpang salaysay. Nakabatay ang naturang reklamo sa supplemental affidavit ni Madriaga na ginawa noong April 11, 2026 at binasa sa House Justice Committee noong April 14.
We believe it's perjurious, so talagang kailangan panagutin si Ramil Madriaga para dito. Nabanggit ko na rin na actually the supplemental affidavit proves that the first perjury is perjured.
Dagdag pa ni Panelo, isa rin sa mga dahilan ng paghahain ng ikalawang reklamo ay upang ipakita sa publiko kung anong klaseng testigo umano si Madriaga na maaaring gamitin ng prosecution sa impeachment trial laban kay VP Sara.
The reason why we exerted all this effort to file the second complaint is because we want to show the people also na ganitong klaseng testigo ang balak gamitin ng prosecution laban kay VP Sara. Malicious, baseless, and desperate witness. So ganun din yung character ng mga taong nasa likod ng impeachment. Wala talaga silang basihan, talagang politika lang ang habol nila.
Pero iginiit ni Panelo na may naririnig silang bulung-bulungan na maaaring hindi na ipresenta ng prosecution si Madriaga bilang testigo laban sa Vice Presidente. Bagamat hindi nila pipigilan si Madriaga na tumistigo sa impeachment court, pananagutin pa rin nila ito sa mga pahayag na itinuturing nilang kasinungalingan.
Nagsisinungaling yan si Madriaga, hindi namin kayo pipigilan. Siyempre kakasuhan namin siya dahil kailangan niyang managot dun sa mga kasinungalingan niya. Wala naman kasing bearing kung mapatunayang nagsisinungaling siya sa impeachment court. Kung walang final na kaso, walang consequence. So kaya final itong criminal complaint para may consequence dun sa mga kasinungalingan niya.
Para sa kampo ni VP Sara, maaari umanong makaapekto sa kredibilidad ng prosecution at sa impeachment case laban sa Vice Presidente kung maipapakita nilang hindi mapagkakatiwalaan ang kanilang testigo.
Meron siyang impact in a way na pag pinapakita namin sa tao kung gaano kasinungaling tong si Madriaga, naaapektuhan yung credibility ng prosecution at ng impeachment effort against the Vice President in general. That's always been our opinion from the very beginning of all of this. When we first filed the first perjury complaint, we said, parang Trojan horse yan si Ramil Madriaga. Parang because of that, magka-crumble yung kaso ng prosecution.
Dahil dito, sinabi ni Panelo na posibleng pinag-iisipan na ng prosecution kung ihaharap pa nila si Madriaga bilang testigo.
They've realized na masasabugan lang sila ng sarili nilang witness kapag present nila itong si Ramil Madriaga. So there's a question of whether they will present him at all.
Samantala, sinabi rin ni Panelo na pinag-ingatan nila ang paghahanda sa ikalawang perjury complaint upang hindi umano ito madaling may basura.
We went through all this effort to put pressure also on the Department of Justice kasi alam naman natin na of course kontrolado sila ng Malacanang. The Secretary of Justice is of course a cabinet member of PBBM na kalaban sa politika ng ating Vice President. So we don't want to give them any reason to dismiss the complaint. Kaya umabot ng ganito, 750 pages itong second complaint, yung first complaint 300 pages para walang butas, para mahirapan sila kahit gusto nilang i-dismiss dahil sa politika may hirapan sila. Kung i-dismiss man nila, magmumukhang sinadya nila para lang siraan itong si VP Sara. Yung combined ng first and second perjury complaint, ang total na po niyan is 1,000 pages including testimonial and documentary evidence. So malakas po yan. Kapag dinismiss po yan, may magic dyan.
Naghain ang kampo ni VP Sara ng motion to consolidate upang pagsamahin ang dalawang perjury complaint laban kay Madriaga sa Taguig City Prosecutor's Office. Ayon kay Panelo, magkaugnay ang dalawang reklamo dahil parehong nakatuon sa mga sinumpaang salaysay ni Madriaga.
Ikinukonsidera ng impeachment court na magsagawa ng paglilitis tuwing Huwebes, Biyernes at Sabado upang mabawi ang mga araw na naantala ang impeachment trial ni Vice President Sara Duterte dahil sa masamang panahon.
Tuwing Lunes, Martes at Miyerkules nakatakda ang regular na paglilitis ng Senate Impeachment Court sa mga kinakaharap na kaso ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Gayunman, ilang impeachment trial na ang naantala dahil sa work suspension na idineklara ng Administrasyong Marcos dahil sa epekto ng masamang panahon. Kaya naman pinag-aaralan na ng korte ang iba't ibang opsyon upang mabawi ang mga araw na nakansela ang paglilitis. Ayon kay Impeachment Court spokesperson Attorney Reginald Tonggol, kabilang sa mga pinagpipiliang hakbang ang pagkakaroon ng make-up days kung saan maaring magsagawa ng trial tuwing Huwebes, Biyernes at Sabado.
Yung impeachment court naman, sanay naman ng mga, lalo pa kami mga abogado, no? Sanay kami na nauurong talaga yung mga dates na yan. So yung number of days na allotted for the prosecution will just be extended.
Sang testigo.
It's really a group effort, no? Yung pagbabawas ng mga araw natin or paghabol ng araw natin. Unang-unang effort yan ng both parties through the dropping of either their articles na ipepresenta or the witnesses.
Nilinaw pa ni Tonggol na hindi kinokonsidera ng impeachment court ang pagsasagawa ng online trial dahil sa mga legal at logistical issues. Samantala, hindi pa rin napag-uusapan ng korte ang posibilidad na ibaba ang kinakailangang bilang ng mga boto para sa conviction o acquittal. Una na ring nanindigan ng korte na 16 na boto o 2/3 majority ng mga senador ang kinakailangan upang mahatulan o makonvict ang sinumang impeachable officer.
If a person or a party or a side, a council proposes that is a dangerous proposal because it will necessarily entail the impeachment court to change the rules of the game mid trial. At sa ating due process clauses, hindi po pinapayagan yan. Hindi po tayong parang naglalaro lang dito na kung para sa convenience ng mga parties, iibahin mo na naman yung rules mid-trial. Hindi po umaakto ang impeachment court for the convenience of either the prosecution or the defense. It is acting to uphold the due process requirements under the law.
Pinabulaanan pa ng impeachment spokesperson ang kumakalat na impormasyon na umano'y panliligaw ni Presiding Officer Senator Cheese Escudero sa ilang minority senators. Kabilang umano sa nililigawan ang mga senator judges na sina Loren Legarda, Jinggoy Estrada, magkapatid na Camille at Mark Villar, kaugnay sa boto para sa conviction ni Vice President Sara Duterte.
That is completely untrue po na wala pong ganong mga moves on his part. He is busy and his time is taken up by reading and studying the case, both the witness testimony, the number of documents, at saka yung mga resolutions na kailangan niyang ilabas. So mas busy po siya gawin yon kesa po mamulitika. Yung ruling na yon ni presiding officer nung umpisa pa lang noong July 16 was 6 rather was a calculated move on his part to really set the threshold and iset na 16 yung number of ultimate vote on the acquittal or conviction of the respondent. So hindi na yan marirevisit unless some person goes up to the Supreme Court and alleges grave abuse of discretion resulting to lack or excess of jurisdiction. So as of the moment, walang nangyayaring ganon. So that is already set in stone for the meantime that it is not overturned by the Supreme Court. Now, if a person or a party or a side, a council proposes that is a dangerous a proposal because it will necessarily entail the impeachment court to change the rules of the game mid trial. At sa ating due process clauses, hindi po pinapayagan yan. Hindi po tayong parang naglalaro lang dito na kung para sa convenience ng mga parties, iibahin mo na naman yung rules mid-trial. Hindi po umaakto ang impeachment court for the convenience of either the prosecution or the defense. It is acting to uphold the due process requirements under the law. At yung 16 po yan, no, nakabase po yan sa Bayan versus Zamora na nagsasabi doon na mahirap talaga ang makuha ang 16, but the framers of the Constitution ensured that mahirap talaga dapat makapag-impeach ng isang impeachable officer because the impeachment court will necessarily cancel the mandate of the people who elected the impeachable officer. That's why it is made extra hard. Kaya 2/3 yan, hindi po simple majority. It was the intention of the framers of the Constitution to make it hard for the impeachment to happen. So, hindi po yan nakabase sa comfort ng tao. So, as to that proposal, wala pong dapat maiba doon sa ruling ng presiding officer na 16 po dahil wala naman pong nagsasampa pa ng kaso at wala pang desisyon yung Korte Suprema if ever masampang kaso na yun.
Attorney, paano ba to? Kasi nagkakasunod-sunod po yung yung kanselasyon ng trial tapos mayroon pa pong parating na isa or dalawa pang bagyo next week. Ano na po ang usapan dyan ng impeachment court? Ano pong posibleng mangyari? Kasi tama po ba? Nasa sked pa po ba tayo o medyo late na po tayo? Delayed na po tayo?
Mayan, kung matatandaan mo, no, meron tayong 31 days for Article 1 and hindi pa tayo gaano nakakakalahati sa mga witnesses na ipipresenta ng prosecution. 27 witnesses yung nilista nila at ipipresenta nila yun for 31 days. So medyo, in a way, delayed na tayo ngayon. However, don't worry about it because yung impeachment court naman, sanay naman ng mga, lalo pa kami mga abogado, no, sanay kami na nauurong talaga yung mga dates na yan. So yung number of days na allotted for the prosecution will just be extended and will eat up some of the days that the nakalaan naman doon sa depensa at uurong lang naman yung number of days ng depensa. So, ganun lang yung mangyayari dyan. Magkakaroon lang ng konting adjustment. Ngayon, alam ko yung pinapatunguhan mo na tanong, no, kung magkakaroon ba ng session ng Thursday o Friday or Saturday. Of course, that is always under consideration and advisement. At makalalaman natin yan if yung Senate President at yung Presiding Officer would rather opt to have extended days, parang mga make-up days, or will just continue on and then just extend it at the end na lang, sa huli na lang tayo magdadagdag. Kasi baka naman hindi natin kailangan magdagdag for all we know, no? Dahil baka maglaglag din ng mga ilang witnesses yung mga parties. So, let's just wait and see for the meantime.
Attorney, if we say na we're kind of delayed na, no? How much are we delayed? Is it significant already?
Wala pa naman, no? So far, parang mga 2 to 3 days pa lang naman yung medyo na-delayed tayo in terms of yung plotting natin ng number of days per witnesses. Dapat nasa I think 6 witness pa lang tayo ngayon, no? Susunod. So dapat mga nasa 9th or 10th witness na tayo out of the 27 witnesses. But because of yung mga it took yung ilang witnesses 2 to 3 days for them to finish their presentation. So talagang naurong tayo.
So the delay is not just about because of the cancellation, but because, tama ba? Kasi parang yung last
Tama.
2 witnesses natin, attorney, yung si dalawang
Joaquin
COA,
at saka si Del Campo. Oo.
nagtig-3 araw po sila, no, attorney?
Tama ka dyan. At pinlot natin yon parang mga 1 witness, 1 day rule lang, no? So, if ever, at most 2 araw lang yung per witness, pero talagang humaba sila to 3 days. So, talagang nabagalan tayo ng konti sa ating number of days na pinlot.
Sorry, let me just go back to that. The 31 days pala, attorney, I originally plotted 1 witness, 1 day lang dapat.
You're right.
Okay.
Tapos
Attorney,
nagbigay lang yung korte ng ng leeway ng additional number of days para kung maurong o mag-take up ng more days yung isang witness, kaya naging 31 days yung nakalaan for the 27 witnesses.
Oo, yeah. Oo. Tapos, attorney, tama ba? Isa sa pwedeng solusyon, aside from yun nga, magkaroon ng mga, sabi nyo kanina kasi, attorney, session, you meant trial, attorney?
Yes, trial
for Thursday.
days.
Okay. Isang possible pong maging solusyon, attorney, para makahabol is maglaglag nga ng witness, magbawas na kung feeling ng prosec ay okay na sila. Tama ba?
Laging iisipin, it's really a group effort, no? Yung pagbabawas ng mga araw natin or paghabol ng araw natin. Unang-unang effort yan ng both parties through the dropping of either their articles na ipepresenta or the witnesses. And on the part of the court naman, ang gagawin naman niya para makahabol is to add more days or to add more witnesses in a day or to extend the number of hours that the impeachment trial will be undertaken in a day. So, yun yung mga effort on both sides, no, dun sa korte at saka dun sa mga parties.
Tapos, attorney, tama, no? Bale, ang pwedeng solusyon nga, magbawas na ng witness, mag Thursday, Friday, Saturday. What about nga po yung pag-extend ng oras? Kasi right now ay 10 to 3 po tayo. May napag-uusapan po bang i-extend siya to 4, to 5, ganun?
Tama ka, yan yung isa sa mga consideration, counter-argument.
Ay, attorney, nag-freeze po kayo. Yung pong sagot nyo po sa amin ay wala po dun sa ano. Sorry po, paulit po. Yung extend po ng hours ng trial, is that an option po? Detail lang po.
Yes, that's always an option under consideration by the senator judges. The PO and the Senate President has already talked about that, as we have seen, no, the last time na extend tayo ng 1 hour from 3 o'clock, mabot tayo hanggang 4 p.m. para lang matapos yung last week na si Miss Sailin Del Campo. So, kahit na ganun din yung mangyayari, pwede rin mangyari yon. So, kinokonsidera nila yon na instead of i-transfer mula umaga hanggang hapon, i-extend na lang ng 1 to 2 hours yung trial para umabot until 4 or 5. However, kasi merong mga constitutional duties na kailangan tuparin dyan. Nakalagay kasi sa Constitution kung anong oras dapat sa session ang ating Senado. Kaya very technical yung mga ganyang mga usapin na sa oras. So baka pwede rin naman na gawin yon, no, dahil bibigyan naman ng enough leeway yung ating senators. However, as to the definite decision of the senator judges, wala pa silang nakakome up dyan. Kaya sabi ko the last time, no, with the cancellation of the days of trial due to inclement weather, at kasi fortuitous event naman to, walang may gusto nito, they might consider it as one of strong argument nung mga gusto naman na senator judges sa hapon mangyari yung ating trial.
Ay, actually, papunta ako doon, attorney. Yun nga po, imbis po natin ini-extend ng umaga, kasi nag-iisip ka, ay teka, may session pa tayo. Mas malaki po ba yung chance na gawin na lang sa hapon para tusawa? Wala silang iniisip na, may gagawin pa tayo. Ituloy-tuloy na lang natin hanggang 10 or 11 p.m. Parang gano'n, attorney.
Tama ka dyan, no? It's a balancing act on the part of the Senate President and the presiding officer. Initially, when they wanted to put the trial sa umaga, ang isipan naman nila kasi para yung plenary session at saka yung mga committee sessions mangyari sa hapon up to sawa para hanggang 10 p.m. sila, etc. Dahil kailangan nila humabol naman doon sa legislative agenda nila. So ngayon, because of the situation, also some senators are saying na baka mas magandang sa hapon, mas mabaligtad para yung trial naman yung up to sawa and then limited naman yung time nung legislative agenda ng Senado.
And when are we expecting this to be finalized? Are we expecting an answer by next week? Kasi baka magtuloy-tuloy nga po yung magtuloy man next week, baka may cancellation pa rin in the weeks to come. So paano po?
Tama ka dyan, no? Hanggang ngayon nag-uusap pa rin sila. I asked that on the presiding officer and the Senate President. Hindi pa rin sila magkaroon ng caucus or rather consensus on that matter. Kasi nga sila Senator Mig Zubiri, who was proposing the afternoon session, hindi pa niya makuha yung number of supports for the afternoon session. So hanggat hindi makuha yon, for the meantime, we retain the morning sessions.
Attorney, when you say session, that you mean trial, no?
Trial.
Isa na lang from me before ko po ibigay kay RG. Yun pong online na trial, is that something that is also being considered? Para rin po, tuloy-tuloy nga siya po kahit may ulan.
Definitively, hindi yan kinoconsider sa ngayon because there are many legal issues and logistical issues regarding the virtual hearings. Kahit yung klaseng platform and maamyendahan yung ating mga rules.
Okay. Attorney, thank you. Salamat po sa pagsagot sa aking tanong. Si RG po.
Salamat.
Thank you po. RG, ikaw na.
Hi, RG.
Hi, Attorney. Good morning.
Good morning.
I just have one quick question regarding, I'm gonna skip yun dun sa schedule kasi natanong na ni Mia ano. So I'm just gonna go straight to this idea from the prosecution na or from the congressman na since marami daw mga senador who are absent or who have been absent in the past few trials, ay baka pwedeng ibaba na daw yung threshold. So where does the ano ang sentiment ng court dyan, and is there any move to revisit yung naging ruling ni presiding officer on day 1, and what would be the mechanism to do it if ever?
Oo, yung ruling na yon ni presiding officer nung umpisa pa lang nung July 16 was 6 rather, was a calculated move on his part to really set the threshold and iset na 16 yung number of ultimate vote on the acquittal or conviction of the respondent. So hindi na yan marirevisit unless some person goes up to the Supreme Court and alleges grave abuse of discretion resulting to lack or excess of jurisdiction. So as of the moment, walang nangyayaring ganon. So that is already set in stone for the meantime that it is not overturned by the Supreme Court. Now, if a person or a party or a side, a council proposes that is a dangerous a proposal because it will necessarily entail the impeachment court to change the rules of the game mid trial. At sa ating due process clauses, hindi po pinapayagan yan. Hindi po tayong parang naglalaro lang dito na kung para sa convenience ng mga parties, iibahin mo na naman yung rules mid-trial. Hindi po umaakto ang impeachment court for the convenience of either the prosecution or the defense. It is acting to uphold the due process requirements under the law. At yung 16 po yan, no, nakabase po yan sa Bayan versus Zamora na nagsasabi doon na mahirap talaga ang makuha ang 16, but the framers of the Constitution ensured that mahirap talaga dapat makapag-impeach ng isang impeachable officer because the impeachment court will necessarily cancel the mandate of the people who elected the impeachable officer. That's why it is made extra hard. Kaya 2/3 yan, hindi po simple majority. It was the intention of the framers of the Constitution to make it hard for the impeachment to happen. So, hindi po yan nakabase sa comfort ng tao. So, as to that proposal, wala pong dapat maiba doon sa ruling ng presiding officer na 16 po dahil wala naman pong nagsasampa pa ng kaso at wala pang desisyon ng Korte Suprema if ever may masampang kaso na yon. So, baliwala po yun.
Okay, at
Sa
yun
impeachment
naman,
court.
yun doon naman sa attendance, kasi napapansin na rin na may mga senator judges, hindi na nakakabuo, actually hindi na kukumpleto yung mga 20, dapat kasi 21 sila dahil tatlo yung wala. You have Senator Bato Way, hindi makita, dalawang nakakulong, so dapat 21 sila dyan. And napansin na rin, it has not gone unnoticed na marami, na hindi sila nakakabuo yung 21 na yon for the past so many trial days. So, yung iba, na nagbo-monitor na lang outside the session hall. So, is that legally acceptable? Are they allowed to participate even from outside the session hall?
Yes, it is legally acceptable. Kung maaalala ninyo, meron tayong Senate Rules on Impeachment, Rule 6. Nakalagay po sa Rule 6 na suppletorily applicable ang rules ng Senado. Sa Senate Rules naman po, may nakalagay dyan na doon sa rule, basta rule sa Senate, no, na merong supplementary application naman yung Rules of Parliament, na Riddick's Rules at saka Hines President. Doon sa mga rules na yon na sinabi ng Senate Rules, nag-a-apply dyan yung tinatawag na constructive o continuing quorum. Na kapag ang isang legislative person, senator or congressman, ay nakapag-enter na ng kaniyang presence sa plenary, kahit lumabas siya dyan, continuing pa rin yung quorum because of the fact na hindi kinakailangan na parating nandun sila. Basta nandoon sila within the control of the Senate President na anytime pwede silang ipatawag ulit kapag kailangan na ng botohan sa plenary, continuing pa rin yung quorum unless questioned by any one of the members. So alam ng ating mga nasa legislatura yung continuing quorum rule na yan. At sa ating mga ordinaryong tao, baka medyo first time natin naririnig yon. However, in legislative practice, that is considered legal because the Senate President has control over the antechambers and all the rooms in the Senate. At yung Senator's Lounge, yun naman ay nakatabi lamang sa plenary. So it is within, parang pag pumunta sila doon, continuing pa rin yung presence nila on the floor. Walang nababawas. And as you have seen naman, no, yung mga senator judges na yon, di na tayo magba-blind item kasi alam naman natin na si Senator Padilla yon, Senator Villar, at saka si Senator Bongo. They didn't really take a break from their duty as a senator judge. In fact, suot pa nga nila yung mga robes nila. So that only means that while still on a short break, they are still performing as a senator judge at nakanood naman sila, nakita naman, may TV doon, nandoon pa yung photo ni Attorney Ligutan. So they are still monitoring it, and that is allowed in parliamentary practice, customs, and rules. Yung within the jurisdiction ng Senate President. So under Rule 3, Section 3E ng Senate Rules, no, nandiyan yung sinasabing antechamber and rooms adjacent to the plenary hall. So yun ay within the scope of the control ng ating Senate President. So anytime pwede niyang patawag yung mga tao na yun. So they are still continuing their presence is still
Aral sa aming diskusyon at tinalakay na paksa sa araw na ito.
Passions had run high as demonstrators, whether for or against impeachment, took to the streets armed with their familiar slogans and chants to air their voice on the matter. Various sectors of society, from business, retired military, academe, denominations of faith, offered suggestions for a return to a state of normalcy in the official relations of governmental branches. Through all these, and as early as the time when the articles of impeachment had been constituted, the court was specifically asked, told, urged, and argued to take no action of any kind and form with respect to the prosecution by the House of Representatives of the impeachment complaint. When the present petitions were knocking, so to speak, at the doorsteps of the court, the same clamor for non-interference was made through what are now arguments of lack of jurisdiction, non-justiciability, and judicial self-restraint, aimed at halting the court from any move that may have a bearing on the impeachment proceedings. The court did not heed the call to adopt a hands-off stance as far as the question of constitutionality of initiating the impeachment complaint is concerned. What lies in here, is an issue of genuine constitutional material which only the court can properly and competently address and adjudicate in accordance with clear-cut allocation of powers under our system. The claim, therefore, that the court, by judicially entangling itself with the process of impeachment, has effectively set up a regime of judicial supremacy is patently without basis in fact and in law, because it is not at all the business of the court to assert dominance, judicial dominance, over the other two great branches of government. Rather, the raison d'etre of the judiciary is to complement the discharge by the executive and legislative of their own powers to bring about ultimately the beneficent effects of having founded and ordered our society upon the rule of law. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the institution that is the Supreme Court, together with all other courts, has long held and been entrusted with the judicial power to resolve conflicting legal rights regardless of the personalities involved in their suits or actions. The court has dispensed justice over the course of time, unaffected by whomsoever stood to benefit or suffer therefrom, unafraid by whatever imputations or speculations could be made to it, so long as it rendered judgment according to the law and the facts. No one is above the law or the Constitution. This is a basic precept in any legal system which recognizes equality of all men before the law as essential to the law's moral authority and that of its agents to secure respect for and obedience to its commands. Perhaps there is no other government branch or instrumentality that is most zealous in protecting that principle of legal equality other than the Supreme Court, which has discerned in its meaning and ramifications through its application of numerous cases, especially the high-profile kind in the annals of jurisprudence. The Filipino nation and its democratic institutions have no doubt been put to a test once again by this impeachment case. Accordingly, the court resorted to no other than the Constitution in search for a solution to what many feared would ripen to a crisis in government. Sa muli, magandang gabi po sa ating lahat. Hindi ko po salita mga sinambit ko na ilang minuto. Yun po ay paraphrase at halos eksaktong quotation ng salita ni dating Justice Conchita Carpio Morales sa Francisco ruling na kinatigan ng mayoriya ng mga miyembro ng Korte Suprema, kabilang na si dating Chief Justice Puno, dating Justice Carpio, dating Justice Ascuna, dating Justice Panganiban. Ano nga ba itong Francisco ruling na pinag-uusapan natin to? Ano nga ba ang pinagkapareho, pinagkaiba nito sa kasalukuyan nating hinaharap? At bakit ko ba ito tinatanong? Ginoong Pangulo, bahagi ako ng Kongresong nagtangka na i-impeach si dating Chief Justice Davide. Bakit ko sinabing tangka? Dahil pinigilan po kami ng Korte Suprema. In-enjoin at nag-issue ng TRO ang Korte Suprema at ito yung desisyong yun. Francisco, case na palaging sinasite po natin. Ano bang pinagkapareho? Ang aligasyon laban sa nasasakdal noon na si Chief Justice Davide, kaugnay din ng corruption. Daang milyon din. Ang pinag-usapan, initiation of impeachment na dapat sole prerogative din ng Kamara. Ang pinag-usapan, ano bang definisyon ng initiation na dapat sole jurisdiction din ng Kamara? Ang tanong ko po ay simple. Noong mga panahong yun, nasaan po lahat na nagrereklamo ngayon at nagko-question sa desisyon ng Korte Suprema? Yung mga mahistradong nagko-question ngayon na retirado na, bumoto sila pabor doon. Subalit ngayon, tila nag-iba ang posisyon. Ano nga ba ang pinagkaiba kung meron man? Klaro ang pinagkaiba. Iba ang pangalan ng nasasakdal. Today, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the very supremacy of the Supreme Court is being called into question, and with it, the very foundation of the rule of law. As Senate President and as a member of this chamber and as a member of the bar, I will not sit idly by and allow this. At stake is the very idea that justice should be governed by laws that apply to all, equally to all, rather than the whims and caprices of public opinion. As Justice Frankfurter once said, if one man can be allowed to determine for himself what is law, every man can. That means first chaos, then tyranny. Legal process is an essential part of democratic process. Whether it's a mob or a minority, bias and prejudice blinds, divides, and destroys. Former U.S. Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor also said it best. The law provides necessary continuity amidst our constantly shifting political landscape. It guarantees everyone will be treated equally, whether they are in today's or yesterday's majority, so they know what to expect, whether what they do is popular or unpopular at that time. The courts, Mr. President, with the Supreme Court at the helm, are the guardians of the rule of law, making sure everyone plays by the same rules and receives equal justice. For the rule of law to prevail, the High Court must act as a compass, not as a political cheerleader, impartially applying the law by calling out violations, not swayed by public opinion or political allegiance. Respect for the rule of law, Mr. President, requires all of us to adhere to final or immediately executory decisions of the court, even when there is a winner and a loser, to avoid deadlocks and maintain legal order. Respect for the rule of law does not bar disagreeing with court decisions, nor from forming our own opinions on the meaning and intent and letter of the spirit of the Constitution. However, we must also have the humility to accept when we are wrong once the Supreme Court has already decided. Respecting the court only when you win or when it aligns with your belief is not respect for me. It is plain arrogance or if at all, a power play. Cherry-picking court rulings destroys the judiciary's purpose. Disobeying the High Court's decision is a violation of the law because under our Constitution, decisions of the Supreme Court form part of the law of the land. I made these remarks, Mr. President, amidst recent calls for this august body to disregard the Supreme Court's recent ruling in Duterte v. HOR. These calls for judicial disobedience have been aided and abetted by so-called legal luminaries and experts who fancy their wisdom and knowledge of the Constitution as better, higher, more supreme than that of the Supreme Court. Miyembro po ba sila ng Supremist Court? Miyembro po ba sila ng Super Supreme Court? Sa pagkakalam ko po, iisa lamang ang Korte Suprema. At ayon sa ating konstitusyon, Korte Suprema ang bukod tanging pwedeng makapagsabi kung ano ang kahulugan ng ating saligang batas. Walang iba. Allow me to demonstrate, for example, Mr. President, the legal gymnastics these people have been undertaking. In the past, and I have borne the brunt of this, sabi naman ngayon ng Korte Suprema, immediately executory. Ay, teka lang. Hintayin muna natin. Hindi ba final? Kapag ka convenienteng gamitin yung mga salita pabor sa posisyon nila, edi okay lang. Kapag ka hindi naman, ay hindi rin. Hindi po ganun dapat yon. Hinihiling nila ngayon sa Senado na ipagpaliban muna ang anumang aksyon para intayin ang anumang desisyon ito kaugnay sa motion for reconsideration na inihain ng Kamara sa Korte Suprema. Subalit tulad ng naipaliwanag na kanina kaugnay ng motion na pinagbobotohan natin ngayon, kung magbago man ang Korte Suprema sa kanilang desisyon na unanimous noong July 25, 2025, meron pong paraan at proseso pa ang Senado para sundin ang bagong desisyon yan ng Korte Suprema kung sakasakaling mangyayari po yan. In the past, it was also said, nauna nagsalita si Senator Bato, bawal daw at walang karapatan mag-motion ang sinumang Senator Judge dahil trabaho daw ng depensa yon. Eh bakit yung mga parehong tao yung pinag-uusapan? Dapat maghain tayo ng motion for reconsideration. Hindi ba trabaho din ng prosecution yon? Hindi naman po pwede na pwede lang pag kayo, hindi na pwede pag iba. Now the prosecution has actually filed a motion for reconsideration, and rightfully so, and not by this chamber. Noon kapag nung bumoto kami para i-remand ang impeachment complaint sa Kamara, pinapaboran daw namin yung nasasakdal. Sinabi ko na rin yan, na yung kontra sa impeachment at pabor sa impeachment, hindi ko didinggin. Na yung kontra at pabor kay Vice President Sara Duterte, hindi ko didinggin. Dahil may rason kung bakit babaeng nakapiring ang mata ang simbolo ng ating hustisya, na humahawak ng espada sa kabilang kamay at panimbang sa kabilang kamay. Dahil wala po dapat kinikilala ang hustisya na personalidad. Sino man ang nasasakdal, dapat pareho lamang po ang ating mga magiging desisyon. Sabi din nila, will of the people daw ito. Eh sino ba si people? Balikan po natin ang naging desisyon ng Korte Suprema. Ayon sa desisyon ng Korte Suprema sa panunulat ni Justice Malcolm sa Alejandrino versus Manuel Quezon, pinag-aaralan po ito ng mga first-year law students. Quote, the judiciary under its powers to interpret the Constitution and the laws has the duty and the right to declare what the will of the people is as expressed in the fundamental law of the land. Hence, where the acts of the executive or legislative departments violate the will of the people as expressed in the organic law of the land, it is the sworn duty of the judiciary to interpret and to declare that will of the people and the right of the citizen has been violated and or transgressed. Allow me to answer a few more, Mr. President, Your Honor. As I stated earlier, sabi ng ilan, hintayin natin na maresolbahan ang motion for reconsideration void ab initio. Ito po ay hindi rule, ito ay exception sa rule. Gamit po ang sinulat na desisyon ni Justice Tony Carpio sa League of Cities versus Comelec. Ito ang sinabi po niya. The invocation of the operative fact doctrine is an admission that the law or act is unconstitutional. Bago po natin sabihin, gamitin natin to. Aminin niyo muna. Illegal at bawal ang ginawa ng Kamara. Sa parehong desisyon, sinabi din ni Justice Carpio, it will open the floodgates to wanton enactment of unconstitutional laws and the commission of unconstitutional acts and a mad rush for their immediate implementation before the court can declare them unconstitutional. This view, according to him, is an open invitation to serially violate the Constitution and be quick about it, lest the violation be stopped by the court. Sinabi din po ni Justice Carpio sa desisyong Aralio versus Aquino, those who acted in bad faith with gross negligence cannot invoke this doctrine. Hindi po pwedeng pakinabangan nung taong gumawa ng unconstitutional at illegal act ang doktrinang ito. Pwede lamang po itong gamitin ng mga partidong walang kinalaman dun sa ginawang mali, masama o di naaayon sa saligang batas. Ika nga, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands, and he who seeks equity must likewise do equity. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, kinondina din ng ilang legal luminaries tulad ng Philconsa na dating pinangunahan ng nanguna sa impeachment complaint na si Speaker Romualdez, ilang taon lamang ang lumilipas, na hindi daw, bagong requirement daw ang due process. Dagdag daw ito. Mr. President, Your Honors, they should read Francisco again. They forgot that lack of due process in the impeachment process had been raised and in fact was specifically mentioned in the separate concurring opinions. And allow me to quote the concurring opinion of Justice Panganiban. The due process clause enshrined in our fundamental law is a condition sine qua non that cannot be ignored in any proceeding, administrative, judicial, or otherwise. It is deemed written into every law, rule, or contract, even though not expressly stated therein. Hence, the House rules on impeachment, insofar as they do not provide the charged official with number 1, notice, and number 2, opportunity to be heard prior to being impeached, are also unconstitutional. Needless to say, the due process limitation on the impeachment process was already discussed in Francisco. May pumalag ba nun? Wala. Yung nagre-reklamo ba ngayon kaugnay sa bagong requirement yung due process, nag-react nung sinulat ito at naging bahagi ng Francisco ruling? Hindi ko rin po napansin. Sinabi din po ng ilang legal luminary, partikular binanggit din ito ni Speaker Romualdez, when the court begins to create rules on how it and other high officials may be impeached, it risks writing the terms of its own immunity. This point was also discussed in Francisco. Ang sabi ng korte nito, illogical ito at